You might not even notice it at first a glance in the mirror. A shade you've trusted for decades. A color that once made you feel radiant. But something has shifted. That familiar lipstick doesn't lift your features anymore. Instead of brightening your expression, it seems to weigh it down, casting shadows where light used to dance. If you've ever looked at your reflection and thought, why does this look different now? You're not alone. After 60, our skin changes, our natural pigments soften, and what once flattered us no longer feels quite right. In today's video, we're diving into a subtle but powerful transformation that many women experience but few talk about. The hidden impact of lipstick shades that might be doing more harm than good, not just to your look, but to your confidence, your health, and your sense of self. So grab your makeup bag, because by the end of this video, you might just find yourself tossing a few longtime favorites in favor of something far better suited to the vibrant woman you are today. As we grow older, something curious happens when we look in the mirror, not always suddenly, but subtly, gradually, like a gentle tide shifting the shoreline without a sound. The face that once glowed with a warm, effortless vibrancy now begins to carry a softer hue. Our lips, once full and flush with the bloom of youth, start to appear thinner, paler, almost like the color is slowly retreating beneath the surface. And while the world is quick to recommend another serum, another lipstick, another mask to cover it up, very few talk about why this happens or what it truly means for us. For many women over 60, it's not just about aging skin or changing cosmetics, it's about identity. About confronting a truth no one prepared us for. The colors that once made us shine might now dull our natural light. That deep burgundy we wore proudly at 35 now weighs down our expression, making the face appear harsh or even tired. The frosty pinks that once sparkled under club lights in our 20s now settle into the fine lines around the mouth, magnifying rather than softening. And worst of all, the glossy nudes, once flirtatious and trendy, now seem to erase the lips entirely, as if silencing a voice that still has so much to say. This isn't vanity, it's visibility. It's about walking into a room and still feeling seen, still feeling present, not fading behind outdated shades that no longer serve the skin we now live in. Skin that has survived decades of smiles, heartbreaks, morning sun, and late night conversations. Skin that's earned its stories. Yet few realize how dramatically the undertones of our skin and lips change after 60. The warm peach of youth often shifts into a cooler, more neutral tone. Circulation slows, collagen diminishes, the lip line softens. The once rosy flush, replaced by a more subdued canvas. And that canvas needs new color tones that don't fight it but work with it. Still, so many women cling to the shades of their past like heirlooms, afraid that letting them go is a kind of defeat, a concession to age. But what if it's not defeat at all? What if it's a quiet evolution, a chance to redefine beauty on our terms? There is power in letting go of what no longer flatters. There is freedom in choosing a rosewood hue that adds life to your face rather than drains it. There is confidence in swapping out the bold crimson for a soft plum that echoes the grace of your years. And yes, there is even a kind of joy in looking in the mirror and thinking, this is still me, but wiser, deeper, even more beautiful. Because color, you see, is never just color. It's energy. And the wrong lip shade, it can cast shadows where there should be light. It can drag the corners of the mouth down, giving an unintentional sadness to the eyes. It can dull your glow, making you feel invisible even when you're dressed your best. And that's not fair, not after all you've been through. Every woman over 60 deserves a lipstick that celebrates her. One that lifts her, lights her, gives her voice dimension and softness and dignity. Not a formula that settles into creases and screams, this doesn't belong here anymore. Choosing the right shade isn't about clinging to the past or pretending to be younger. It's about honoring now, about standing in the truth of your age and saying, this version of me deserves beauty too. In fact, especially now when the world seems to prize youth above all, it becomes even more important to reclaim our own standards of elegance. And yes, that might start with something as simple, as powerful, as throwing away the lipstick that no longer serves you. Because when you release what doesn't reflect who you are anymore, You make room for something better, something richer, something real. Just as your skin has changed, your beauty has deepened. And your lips, those silent storytellers, deserve a color that mirrors the woman you've become. Not faded, not forgotten, but fully alive. But even beyond the question of color, beyond the aesthetic and the subtle shift in undertone slurks, a deeper, more troubling reality that most women over 60 have never been warned about. It hides in the fine print, in the labels too tiny to read without glasses, and in the unspoken assumption that if something is sold on shelves, it must be safe. Yet the truth is far more unsettling. Many of the lipsticks we've trusted for decades contain ingredients that no woman, especially not a woman in her golden years, should ever allow near her body again. These are not merely cosmetic choices, they are hidden risks, camouflaged behind seductive packaging and promises of youth. With each casual swipe across the lips, we unknowingly ingest trace amounts of substances like parabens, lead, synthetic dyes, and petrochemicals. And while a younger body may have once absorbed and processed them with resilience, our aging systems are not so forgiving. The older we get, the more sensitive our skin becomes, the more vulnerable our mucous membranes are, and the less efficient our bodies become at detoxifying the cumulative burden of environmental toxins. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens slowly, insidiously, with chapped lips that never quite heal, with chronic dryness that no balm seems to cure, with odd discolorations that appear and refuse to fade. And we blame aging. We blame the weather. We blame ourselves. But rarely do we turn to that tiny bullet of color in our purse and ask, could this be hurting me? For decades, manufacturers have been allowed to use questionable ingredients under the veil of industry standard. Even when studies began to show alarming associations, hormonal disruptions, allergic reactions, and, in some cases, carcinogenic concerns. For older women who already navigate multiple medications, slower immune responses, and skin that bruises at the slightest touch, these hidden additives are not harmless. They are ticking clocks. And still, we apply, reapply, and go about our day, believing beauty comes at a price, but never quite realizing how steep that price can be. Imagine this. A single lipstick may be used for months. Each application 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a day adds another layer of exposure. The average woman consumes pounds of lipstick in her lifetime. Let that sink in. Now imagine if that lipstick contains aluminum compounds, mineral oils, synthetic fragrances, and preservatives designed more for shelf life than safety. Suddenly, that innocent act of self-care becomes a slow, repeated intake of substances that weren't meant to be in the bloodstream at all. And this risk magnifies as we age. Our liver, once a powerhouse of filtration, begins to tire. Our kidneys become less efficient. Our skin barrier weakens. The immune system loses some of its sharpness. This means that what the body once could handle in youth may now build up silently, adding stress to organs already working overtime to keep us well. Have you noticed persistent dryness, sensitivity around the lips, or odd tingling after applying certain products? Have you ever dismissed it as just age? You're not alone. Thousands of women over 60 live with minor but nagging symptoms: rashes, lip peeling, sensitivity to sunlight, without realizing that the lipstick they trust every day might be the silent culprit. And in some heartbreaking cases, reactions turn more serious: oral ulcers, contact dermatitis, or systemic inflammatory flare-ups triggered by chemical overloads. The sad part? Many of these reactions could be avoided simply by choosing cleaner, safer alternatives, but first, someone has to tell the truth. And the truth is this: if you wouldn't eat it, don't put it on your lips. Especially now. Especially at this stage in life, where every choice carries more weight, and every decision echoes through the body with louder consequence. So yes, it may be time to toss that old tube. Not just because the shade no longer flatters, but because the formula no longer fits your life. Because you deserve better not only in how you look, but in how you feel. What you put on your mouth goes into your mouth. And what goes into your mouth, especially in your 60s and beyond, matters more than ever. It's not about giving up beauty. It's about reclaiming it with knowledge, intention, and the courage to throw away anything that puts your health at risk. This is not a sacrifice. This is a declaration. A declaration that your well-being is non-negotiable, that your lips should speak joy, not absorb harm, that your health is not something you barter for fleeting color or artificial youth. Because real beauty lasting, glowing, fearless beauty begins with wellness, begins with wisdom, and begins with knowing when to say, "This is no longer worthy of me." When you switch to lip care that is nourishing rather than toxic, you begin to notice something unexpected. The lips soften naturally. The discoloration fades. The cracks begin to heal. The mouth relaxes. The face lifts not with needles or creams, but with relief. With the peace of knowing you're no longer doing silent harm to yourself in the name of beauty, you're choosing products that support your body, honor your journey, and celebrate the woman you've become. And that shift, that single decision to toss the chemical-laden tube and replace it with a clean, nourishing balm or a botanical tinted, can ripple through your life in ways far deeper than skin. Because health is beauty. Because self-respect is elegance. Because no woman at any age should have to choose between looking good and feeling well. Not anymore. And while the health risks hidden within those tiny tubes are urgent and real, there's another consequence quieter, but no less dangerous, that often goes unspoken. It doesn't scar the skin or inflame the lips, but it reaches somewhere far deeper, into the heart, into the soul, into the fragile space where self-worth resides. Because for many women over 60, the act of applying lipstick is not just a cosmetic ritual, it's a moment of dignity, a final detail that says, "I still care. I still matter." So imagine the silent erosion that occurs, day by day, when the reflection in the mirror no longer responds the way it used to. When that once perfect shade now makes the mouth look stern, the eyes seem distant, the expression unintentionally tired. At first, you wonder if you didn't sleep enough. Then you consider that maybe it's the lighting. Then comes the day you apply your favorite lipstick, the one you wore to your retirement party, the one from your daughter's wedding and for the first time. Instead of feeling beautiful, you feel wrong, not ugly, just not you, and it stings. Not in the way chemicals sting skin, but in the way time stings memory. It's as if the colors that once expressed your spirit are now working against you, turning into ghosts of the past rather than affirmations of the present. And you start to withdraw, not dramatically, not all at once, but subtly. You skip the lipstick on grocery trips, you stop taking selfies with your grandchildren, you sit out from the family photo because you didn't get ready in time. But it's not time that's the issue, it's the quiet heartbreak of no longer recognizing the woman in the mirror, of seeing a disconnect between how you feel and how the world sees you. That disconnect for many women becomes a slow unraveling of confidence. And in that unraveling, so many dreams, plans, and moments of joy are quietly shelved. Why go to the reunion if you'll just feel invisible? Why speak up in the group if your smile feels tired? Why dress up for dinner when nothing seems to sit right on your face anymore? These may seem like small doubts, but they are not. They are the whispers that chip away at identity. And when they go unanswered, they grow. They become belief. They become resignation. And that is the cruelest trick of all, not that age dims our beauty, but that the world teaches us to believe it does. But here's what no ad campaign or beauty editor tells you. The issue is rarely you. It's not your skin, it's not your age. It's the tools you've been given, the outdated palettes, the generic recommendations, the colors designed for someone else's face, someone else's decade. What if the reason you feel less radiant isn't because you've changed too much, but because the products you're using haven't changed with you? What if all you needed was a shift in tone, a gentler hue, a softer line that says, "Here I am," instead of "I used to be"? That is the beginning of empowerment. That is where self-esteem begins to heal, not through perfection, but through alignment. Through looking in the mirror and seeing colors that reflect your current self, warm, wise, graceful, and very much alive. The right lipstick doesn't just brighten your lips, it lifts your whole face. It invites your eyes to shine. It coaxes a smile from a place deep inside that may have been quiet for too long. In the moment you feel that lift, that unmistakable spark of recognition, it's like finding yourself again after being lost in a crowd. It's not about looking younger, it's about feeling true, feeling whole, feeling like you've re-entered your own story as the main character, not the supporting cast. When a woman over 60 finds the right lipstick, the one that fits her present, her power, her poisette, becomes more than a cosmetic. It becomes a symbol, a small, radiant declaration that she's still here, still beautiful, still worthy of being seen, heard, celebrated. And that shift can trigger a cascade of transformation. Confidence returns, posture lifts, conversations flow. Invitations are accepted. The smile you had forgotten starts to visit more often. Because it turns out, beauty isn't lost with agates, merely waiting to be invited back with open arms and the right color. So let this be your invitation. Let this be your moment to step away from the false narratives, from the silent doubts, from the makeup bags filled with decades of compromise. Let this be the day you say, I deserve a color that fits me now. I deserve to look in the mirror and like what I see. I deserve to feel visible, vibrant, and valid not despite my age, but because of it. And when that realization lands, it doesn't just change how you wear lipstick, it changes how you carry yourself in the world. You start showing up differently. You speak with more intention. You smile without checking if the lighting is flattering. You take your place in photos. You stop asking, do I look okay? And start knowing, I look like me. And that is everything. That is the quiet revolution of beauty after 60. It's not about chasing youth, it's about claiming presence. And it starts with something as simple, as powerful, as the right shade of lipstick. The one that doesn't erase your past or mask your present, but illuminates the path ahead with dignity and grace, because you haven't faded. You've evolved. And the world deserves to see the woman you've become not hidden, not hesitant, but bold, soft, and unapologetically herself. All it takes is one moment, one choice, one color that says, without words, I'm still here, and I'm still beautiful. And once you've reclaimed that quiet confidence, once the mirror stops being a battlefield and becomes, once again, a reflection of your truest self, something else shifts, something deeper. You begin to realize that this isn't just about lipstick anymore. It's about the entire ritual of self-care that surrounds it. The morning routine, the brushes, the jars, the creams. All those tiny gestures that once seemed like vanity now return as something sacred, a form of reverence. A way of saying, I'm still here and I matter enough to take care of. But here's the secret that no one tells you in glossy magazines or over-the-counter beauty aisles. The same routines that worked in your 40s may no longer serve you in your 60s. And that's not a loss, it's a liberation. Because when you stop trying to force old habits onto new skin, you open the door to something better, gentler, more aligned with who you are now. Skin after 60 is not just older, it's wiser. It speaks differently. It asks for less clutter, fewer harsh layers, more breathing room. It no longer tolerates heavy foundations that settle into fine lines like uninvited guests, or thick concealers that promise youth but deliver only fatigue. Instead, your skin, this beautiful, story-filled canvas graves, care over coverage, nourishment over camouflage, and makeup, when applied with this intention, becomes something radical. It becomes healing. You begin to see your moisturizer not as a product, but as protection. Your cleanser becomes a whisper of kindness, not a scrub of aggression. Your blush is no longer a burst of artificial pink, but a soft reminder that blood still flows warm beneath the surface, that life still pulses with color. You stop painting over yourself and start enhancing what is already there. And that shift from hiding to honoring is transformative. It turns your morning routine into a meditation, a time not to fix, but to celebrate. And in that celebration, new habits are born. You swap matte finishes for radiant ones that catch the light in all the right places. You choose hydrating formulas that smooth rather than mask. You use fewer products, but make each one count. And as you gently glide a lightweight tint across your cheeks, you may feel a ripple of peace, of permission. A voice that says, you don't need to be anyone else. you've already earned your place. And so begins the real beauty of aging, the realization that every wrinkle is not a flaw, but a chapter. That every shift in texture, every softness around the jawline, every crease near the eyes is a story worth keeping, not covering. This is where true self-care lives, not in the pursuit of perfection, but in the quiet, consistent decision to treat your body with kindness. And makeup, when chosen with this philosophy, becomes a tool of gentle empowerment. You begin to resist the pressure to look younger and instead embrace looking well. Looking you, looking like a woman who knows what matters and what doesn't. And this awareness starts to touch every corner of your life. You no longer buy into the idea that effort is only worth it if it turns back the clock. You find joy in simple things. A lip balm that smells like citrus and leaves your mouth feeling soft all day. An eye cream that cools tired lids. A mascara that lifts your gaze just enough to remind you that you're still watching, still engaged, still in the room. And in that room, whether it's a quiet kitchen, a garden in bloom, or a bustling family gathering, you carry yourself differently. Not because your face is flawless, but because your energy is. You radiate something few people ever achieve: peace with your reflection. And others feel it. They respond to it. They see you not through the distorted lens of ageism or outdated beauty standards, but through the clarity of your own acceptance. And when that happens, your self-care becomes contagious. You inspire your peers. You model a new way of aging for your daughters, your nieces, your granddaughters. They see that beauty doesn't disappear. It deepens. It refines. It becomes more intentional. And that message, passed down through generations, may begin with something as small as changing the way you wear your makeup, but it echoes into something vast and lasting. Because here's the truth, that no one shouts loud enough. Taking care of yourself in your 60s, 70s, and beyond isn't frivolous. It's vital. It's not just about looking good, it's about feeling good. And feeling good gives you energy. Energy to participate, to connect, to contribute. Energy to say yes to invitations, to walk an extra block, to stay a little longer at the party. And when your skin feels nourished, your features feel supported, your expression feels authentic, suddenly you start living more fully. Not because makeup saved you, but because it reminded you of your worth, your presence, your power. So if you've ever felt guilty for wanting to look beautiful, if you've ever been told it doesn't matter anymore, don't believe it. And if you've ever hesitated to invest in skincare or cosmetics at this stage of lifestyle, because every time you choose a product that supports your changing skin, that honors your experience, that brings a spark of light to your face, you are not giving in to vanity, you are giving in to vitality. And that, perhaps more than any anti-aging slogan, is the true fountain of youth. Not erasing the years, but embracing them with grace. Let that be your new beauty ritual. Not trying to turn back time, but turning toward yourself with fresh eyes, fresh tools, and a fierce gentleness that says, I am still becoming. And with every intentional swipe of color, every drop of moisture, every glance in the mirror that ends in a smile rather than a sigh, you're proving that aging is not the end of beauty, it's the elevation of it, the refinement, the rediscovery. And that, dear viewer, is the greatest makeover of all. And now that you've made peace with your reflection, now that your routine no longer revolves around concealing flaws but revealing radiance, you arrive at perhaps the most vital turning point of all, choosing what truly belongs on your skin and what doesn't. Because once you've said goodbye to the lies of youth-chasing makeup, the next, most empowering step is learning how to choose what nurtures you. Especially when it comes to your lips, those soft, expressive, vulnerable protectors of your voice, your smile, your stories. After decades of applying synthetic formulas layered in promises but steeped in chemicals, the moment arrives when you pause before twisting open another tube and wonder, what's really in this? Not just what color, but what content. What is this product made of? Where does it come from? Will it comfort or harm? Will it support my body or secretly strain it? These are not questions of vanity anymore, they are questions of vitality. And the answers lead to one liberating truth. Nature has always known how to care for you better than any laboratory ever could. In a world filled with synthetic dyes and petroleum-based fillers, natural lip products become your new allies, gentle, clean, and made with intention. Imagine this: a lipstick that feels like silk but comes from shea butter, one that leaves a soft tint while nourishing your lips with organic coconut oil, vitamin E, and beeswax knot, a concoction of lead residues and parabens hidden behind glamorous labels. This is not fantasy. This is real, and it's here, waiting for you. Once you make the shift to natural lipsticks or balms, you'll feel it instantly. Your lips stop cracking, the irritation fades. That strange sensation of chemical dryness we thought was just part of aging disappears. In its place comes softness, resilience, moisture, and most importantly, trust. You begin to trust what you're applying. You stop reading the ingredient list in fear. You stop worrying that this beautiful act of coloring your lips might be secretly harming your liver, your hormones, your immune system, and that trust is priceless. Natural lip products don't just bring peace of mind, they bring results. You'll notice your lips looking fuller not artificially, but organically, because they're finally receiving what they need. With ingredients like cocoa butter, jojoba oil, and plant-derived pigments, these formulas nourish from within. And instead of coating your mouth with a waxy sheen that needs to be reapplied constantly, they integrate with your skin, becoming part of you, not something on top of you. And the colors, rich berries, warm mauves, gentle roses, subtle coral sea hue drawn from the earth, not a chemical vat. Each one crafted to enhance, not overpower, to whisper beauty, not shout it. You no longer feel the need to choose between vibrancy and safety, between elegance and health. You get both, because you deserve both. And the very act of applying these natural shades becomes an act of rebellion, a declaration that says, I choose purity. I choose to protect the woman I've become. There is also something quietly thrilling about knowing exactly what you're putting on your lips, that your lipstick is not just safe, but often edible, that if it touches your coffee mug or your food or your partner's cheek, it's not introducing toxins, but a hint of chamomile or elderberry or pomegranate, ingredients once used in ancient healing now cradling your mouth in color. And there's something else, something unexpected that happens when you go natural. Your energy returns. Maybe not dramatically, maybe not like a lightning strike, but slowly, gently, as if your body finally exhales and says, thank you for listening, for stopping the silent assault, for choosing care over compromise. That energy starts to reflect in your posture, in the light behind your eyes, in the way your words flow a little freer when your lips no longer sting from synthetic stains. Friends begin to notice. You look rested, they say. You're glowing. And you are, because your beauty is no longer borrowed, it's blooming from within. You've planted it in soil that's clean and nurturing. And as it takes root, it changes you. You start scanning every label differently, not out of fear, but empowerment. You demand transparency, simplicity, gentleness, and in doing so, you become a role model not just for your generation, but for all the women watching you, daughters, granddaughters, nieces. They see you refusing to settle, refusing to fade, refusing to harm yourself in the name of trends. And in that refusal, you become a beacon. You become proof that age is not a retreat, it's a renaissance, a chance to return to the roots, to real ingredients, to real self-respect. So let that old tube go, the one hiding behind brand names and chemical jargon. Let it go, not with regret, but with a deep, knowing smile, because something better awaits, something that feels like balm and blooms like confidence, something that turns the smallest gesture coloring your lips into a quiet anthem of resilience. And every time you reach for that natural shade, every time you press it gently to your lips, you're not just putting on color, you're putting on power. You're reminding yourself and the world that beauty doesn't belong to youth. It belongs to whoever claims it with grace. And you, with every clean swipe, are claiming it not through artifice, but through authenticity, through care, through courage, through the simple, radical choice to say, My body has done enough for me. It deserves only kindness now. And so do you. So now you know it's not just about color, and it's certainly not about age. It's about choosing products that honor the skin you live in today, not the trends from decades past. It's about treating your lips with as much care as you give your heart, your health, your memories. And when you make that shift, when you trade in toxic tubes for nourishing shades that heal and flatter, you're not just changing how you look, you're changing how you feel. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. What lipstick shade have you let go of, and which one have you fallen in love with again? If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe it. Helps more beautiful women like you discover how to age with confidence and joy. And remember, your beauty didn't end at 60. In many ways, it's just beginning. Let's celebrate that together.